We have a tweet here from @Jan5th. Could you comment on Magna and or Linamar? Which do you prefer?
Okay, so in disclosure, we own them both. We've recently had a disappointment with Linamar. Stocks pulled back some. We don't think it's broken, but a much bigger position for us is Magna. So, of course, Magna, Canadian company, but really not. You're not buying Canada, you're buying the globe. It's a global producer of auto parts and sub-assemblies. They have been able to grow steadily through forever in the number of dollars that go into each car. They've been very focused with their financial disciplines to focus in businesses where they can improve their margins. Europe is getting better for them, and they have lots of opportunity to continue to grow in Asia and other places. It's inexpensive relative to some of the U.S. auto parts companies on a relative valuation basis, but arguably from a quality standpoint, very, very high. They have lots of ability to take on debt if they choose to make acquisitions. They're under-levered, arguably. And we don't believe that the auto cycle is over. We think that, it's really has some legs to it. So auto sales recently have been very, very strong. There's some concern about could Asia slow down a little bit? That could. Europe seems to be getting a little bit better. So we like it. We really like Linamar because Linamar is in drivetrains. And if you look at what the auto manufacturers have done, where they've got a lot of the fuel efficiency is in the drivetrain and the transmission, and that's Linamar's business. So I think that they have beaten the estimate so significantly for so many quarters when they came in just above estimate, even though they didn't disappoint. I think people were expecting a bigger number. But we like both stocks.
And we see both stocks doing very well there the past several years. Simon's in Oakville, Ontario, as we stick in this sector. Hi, Simon.
Hi, yes, I'm interested in Martin Rea. I own both Martin Rea and Linamar. Down significantly on both. Wondering if you could tell me if I should buy more, hold. Thank you.
Yeah, if you're looking at this group, my first choice would be to buy Magna. Martin Rea is a good company. They're in sort of specialized aluminum parts. I think that the margins are better in drivetrain and Linamar, and I think that the dominant position that Magna has is probably a better company. It's a well-run company. I'm not telling you otherwise. It's just I would rather go to the strength.
It looks like Simon got into both of those stocks fairly recently because, they have been turning over lately. Here is James, who's in Ajax, Ontario. Another auto question. Hi, James. Go ahead.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for taking my call. I wanted to get David's thoughts on General Motors from a long-term perspective, 3 to 5 years out. I realize it's had some dark clouds hanging over it for some time, but just looking at its recent earnings and some of the positive takeaways from that, and its forward multiples look quite cheap. Is this a good entry point, and if so, at what price would you go in? Thank you.
James, I would prefer to go down the auto parts and the assemblers path as opposed to the big auto companies. I think that there's lots of competition globally. Strong dollar, is an issue for the U.S. automakers. But I would prefer to go to the auto parts companies than the producers themselves.
Does that include Tesla Motors?
Well, we don't own Tesla, but I think it's a wonderful company, and I have a hard time seeing how they will not continue to disrupt the industry.
Have you ever held Tesla?
Yes, absolutely.
You did?
Yeah, we've certainly held the stock.
Okay. On to John, who's in Laval, Quebec. Hi there, John.
Mark, thank you for taking my call. I really enjoy your program.
Good, thanks.
David, I have a question for you concerning Starbucks. I have about $5,000 on the side. I'd like to buy something with it, and I'm looking at Starbucks in comparison to QSR. Which one would you choose? And obviously, is it a buy, hold, or a sell? And if not, would you refer one of your top picks at the end of your show over Starbucks or QSR?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so John, in disclosure, given a choice, Starbucks would be one of my top picks. I've used it 2 or 3 times now. They're just such a dominant company, and they have so many levers. I remember meeting with the CFO 3-4 years ago, and him going through all the various levers they have in the business to manage their margins and the trajectory of their business, and whether it was food, whether it was the selling coffee through the grocery channel, whether it was the different format stores, there was obviously lots of opportunity. They continue to innovate. The new stores that they're building in New York, with the small format where you can order electronically, have done remarkably well. The demand in China for opening stores, the opportunity to open stores in China is just exploding. So I think that this is a company that has all kinds of opportunity. The stock's pulled back recently, a few dollars, $3, $4, held at support and turned higher again. It's in the right group. This is a stock I think you can own, and you pick your spots. I wouldn't want to see it trade much below sort of $53 or $54. You could use that as a stop, which is relatively close. But this is one I'd buy right here.
You're a shareholder. Are you a customer as well?
I am a customer, and partly because they're so innovative in their payment systems. I have the app on my phone. Sadly, my children have the app on their phones and with my sign-in, and I see my total go down every day.
Sure, yeah.
But I think that they've done remarkably well in building out that part of the business also.
All right, great stuff, David. Let's take a short break, and then we get back to questions after this.